Hi everyone, welcome to Logical Debate. Now this debate is really simple. Do you think this bus driver is at fault or not? And that's really all we're debating. So I'm going to play the video now and you be the judge.
And Dan, the car driver, sent me a message on Twitter with that video asking, am I at fault? So I checked it out. Eric Kanoy had the option of telecommuting to his job as an engineer for a Silicon Valley electric car startup. But on this day in August, he decided to drive in.
And I just thought, hey, why not? It's a Friday. Traffic can't be too bad.
So he jumped in his Mazda and approached a light near the Cisco Systems headquarters, westbound Tasman Drive in San Jose.
By the time I hit the intersection, I entered through, I just kind of looked up and I saw, oh, hey, there's a bus. Oh, hey, there's a bus.
Eric was shaken, some burns on his hand and elbow from the airbags, not seriously hurt. His car totaled. He told first responders he recorded the incident.
I have a camera in here somewhere.
His video does confirm he had a green light for a full 4 seconds before impact. Pete Sobolev was driving the same direction, just to the right of Eric Kanoy.
I noticed out of the corner of my eye the bus turning into the intersection, which immediately thought that shouldn't be.
Sobolev took a right-hand turn just as the crash happened.
I, of course, was wondering, what caused the crash, and then, I quickly came to the conclusion that that bus must have turned into the intersection against a red light.
Milpitas police initially cleared Kanoy.
He came back and said, hey, you know what, good news, you have the green light. So there's no reason to cite you, so I think things should be okay.
But the investigator changed his mind, concluding in the traffic collision report, Kanoy was at fault. I determined that the VTA bus was legally in the intersection when the collision occurred. Kanoy did not yield the right-of-way to traffic legally in the intersection.
The person that's entering the intersection on the green has a duty to make sure that the traffic has cleared that intersection and that it's safe to proceed.
What about the bus driver's responsibility? Using the California Public Records Act, the I-Team obtained recordings from the VTA of the bus's 8 cameras. You see the bus stopped at the intersection. 2 cars pull away. Before he even hits that limit line, the light turns yellow. I counted. The bus had more than 40 feet to hit the brakes and stop, but it continues through. The California Driver Handbook says when you see the yellow traffic signal light, stop if you can do so safely. If you cannot stop safely, cross the intersection cautiously. Didn't that bus have the duty to yield or to stop before heading across the intersection?
That bus was already past his limit line. He's already in the crest of his turn.
Look again at the VTA recordings. The stop light disappears so you can't see precisely when it goes red. But I timed the light. It's yellow for 3.5 seconds. So the bus hit the red at this point and continued past the red light through the intersection. Retired San Francisco motorcycle officer Jimmy Lewis, a 34-year veteran trained in accident investigation, blames the bus driver.
It ran to red, and so the bus should have stopped.
Officer Lewis cites California Vehicle Code 21451. Any driver, including one turning, shall yield the right-of-way to other traffic lawfully within the intersection. He says Kanoy, with that green light, was lawfully in the intersection.
You have to yield to the cross traffic that has the green.
The bus driver did not return my calls, texts, and email for comment.
This guy went through the light, man.
After the crash, he called the VTA office and blamed Eric Kanoy.
I was making a left-hand turn. And the other guy just went through the light.
Officials at the VTA declined an interview and sent me an email. There is the potential for litigation, and therefore we reserve comment. The safety of those traveling on or around our system is VTA's top priority. There is a lesson here for anyone who drives.
Just because a signal's green doesn't always mean that you can just go through it. You still have to take that moment to make sure that it's safe to do so.
This is the first time Eric Kanoy has seen the onboard bus video that raises many questions. His insurance company is already settled, paying for damage to the bus and replacing his car. He tells me his premiums are up about 10%.
So basically, the bus was barely in the intersection when it turned red. I mean, like when you're driving a big slow bus and it's yellow, I mean, like, you really shouldn't be turning into an intersection. I mean, I understand you got your schedule to keep and all, and you want to be fast, but if you're in a big slow bus, I mean, and it's already yellow, I mean, come on. I mean, I think it's really obvious that it's the driver's fault, but the government doesn't want to pay, and obviously, so they're gonna say it's not. But then the only one left to blame is the regular driver, the civilian driver, or whatever. I don't know what the proper term to call him here, but the working driver. And it's no way it's his fault. There's just no way you can blame him for that. It's one thing to say, well, when someone's in the intersection, to give anyone and it turns green, all the ones that where it turns green for you to wait a second to get everyone out. But there was more than enough time for the bus, if it was a smaller vehicle, to get out. So that is 100% on the bus driver, in my opinion, and he should be liable, and the bus company and the government or whatever should be liable for everything. So that's just how I see it. I'm not saying that there's no argument on the other side of that. Obviously I've driven a lot, and I've driven in San Jose myself many times, and yes, you do see in intersections where it turns green and there's still people trying to that went through the yellow or right as it turned red, but they're in a smaller vehicle, and I've never seen an accident like that based on this context. Not saying they don't happen. I mean, obviously, there's tons of accidents that happen all the time that I don't, witness. So I'm not going to say they don't happen. But this guy's driving a big, slow bus. I mean, that's really, at the end of the day, if you're driving a big, slow bus, like driving a big, slow truck, and the light's yellow, it's generally in your best interest to stop, like, if you're trying to be safe. So to not do that means you're not trying to be safe. So, I mean, I don't really think it's much of a debate here, but I mean, basically, if any of you don't want to blame the bus driver, leave me a comment if you don't think it's their fault, that since it was technically yellow once they went in the intersection, that it doesn't matter how slow they get through it, kind of thing, which is what the argument would have to be. Or if you want to say that the working driver man, it was his fault because he didn't look, he should have slowed down and looked before he charged into the intersection himself, even though he had the green light, which some do make the argument you should do. So, but yeah, I still think it's 100% the bus driver's fault, and change my mind. Alright, well, I hope you like this video, and leave me a comment, and yep, I'll see you in the next one.